What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the first ever episode of Fitness is Fatphobic. I am your host, Connor Lyons, and today we're going to be talking about my case for Matt Petgrave. For those of you who don't know me, which is probably every single person watching this video right now because this channel has no subscribers, no views, no videos. My name is Connor Lyons. I own a gym down just outside of Tampa, Florida in Wesley Chapel called Lyons Den Sports Performance. I'm also in the process of building out this Fitness is Fatphobic website and YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. Been in the field for 15 years, and for some reason, I think everybody should hear my opinions on cultural and geopolitical issues, so that's what we're going to do. And today, we're going to talk about my case for Matt Petgrave, given the incident that happened, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. It's recently popped back up into the social media sphere due to the fact that Matt Petgrave was arrested and charged with manslaughter. In a previous video I did on another podcast that I do that is much more strength and conditioning, sports performance, and fitness related. I did an episode over there on my case for why maybe we charge him, for manslaughter, which would end up happening when half the world was calling him a murderer. Today I'm going to break down a lot of those things, and I'm a strength coach. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a cop. I'm not a poli-sci major. I don't know that my opinion holds any water really outside of the fact that I'm a former hockey player who has been working as a strength and conditioning coach, working primarily with hockey players for the past 15 years. In addition to the 15 years that I played hockey, I wouldn't consider myself an expert, as I think that's like a really weird term. I don't know that anybody's an expert on anything. To be an expert, you have to know like legitimately everything, and I clearly don't know everything about anything. But I'm going to talk about this today because I feel the need to, and I think there's a lot of people, I guess social media, right? Go outside and touch grass because everyone on social media seems to be in one camp or the other. Either Matt Petgrave is a murderer or Matt Petgrave is innocent. And this has become like a race thing because here in America, we can't have nice things. It turned into Matt Petgrave is this degenerate black guy that murdered Adam Johnson, this wholesome white guy, or it turned into Matt Petgrave is only being charged because he's black. And I think it's all nonsense. I don't know why we divide ourselves like this, when in reality there are a lot of other forces at play that I think are more important and we should aim our ire at. And we won't get into that today, maybe in a future episode where I can go off and rant about how much the establishment sucks and how they're screwing everybody over. But like I said, this turned into a race thing, and it's absolutely insane because it's not a race thing. This is a hockey thing. And I'll be damned if I'm going to watch the game I grew up playing and have devoted a good portion of my life to be used as like a wedge to place between people when this is just really like a tragic, horrible, awful, careless thing that happened. And we're going to go. All right, so to start this off, Matt Petgrave was arrested, I believe, 2 days ago. I, honest to God, don't know what day it is anymore. We had a kid back in April, and I swear it feels like every day blends together. I've got no idea what time it is, what day it is 99% of the time because me and my wife are both so exhausted all the time because we are taking care of this beautiful baby girl. In addition to us both running our own businesses, it seems like time doesn't really exist anymore, and it's kind of Groundhog Day. So, like I said, it was probably, I believe 2 days ago. Don't quote me on it. It is November 16th today, Thursday, so maybe Tuesday. Matt Petgrave was arrested and charged with manslaughter. The night prior to that, he stepped back onto the ice for the first time since the incident occurred. And I'm going to pull up a video here. This is what happened. If you're listening and not watching, he got a standing ovation. Kind of wild to me. Now, while I do believe that this was a tragic accident, that's a little bit much for me to give him a standing ovation, even if it wasn't something that he meant to do, which I believe is the case. This kind of reminds me of, I don't know how many hockey fans are out there, but back in the, I think it was like in the mid 2000s, Danny Heatley got hammered and was behind the wheel of his car doing something like 100 miles an hour in a residential zone, got in an accident, and killed his teammate who was a passenger. Snyder was his name. The Atlanta Thrashers wore that Snyder patch on their sweaters for like a full year, I believe, after it happened. Danny Heatley came back and he got a standing ovation, and I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way. In a world where that same year that Danny Heatley got that standing ovation for coming back, Barry Bonds was getting syringes thrown at him because he was quote unquote cheating in sports. So it's weird the things in this country that we celebrate, but that's England, not this country. But it is just odd to me that he would get a standing ovation, even if you don't believe it was on purpose. I don't think that's the appropriate kind of reaction to this, but that's what happened. So there's a lot of people within the place where he plays, I think it's Sheffield, that don't believe that it was on purpose. And a lot of people will sit here and say, because the media has done some very funky things, where the media says a man was arrested in relation to Adam Johnson's death, right? That's not really telling the whole story, and that's pissing people off more. So now you have the media playing into the fact that this is a race thing, because they won't even say, Matt Petgrave charged with manslaughter for, the killing of Adam Johnson. It is a man is arrested in relation to Adam Johnson's death, right? So it's just media is going to media, and it pisses people off. And that's how we, this turns into a black and white thing, which is absolute insanity to me, because that's not what it is. The next video I'm going to show is Matt Petgrave. Everybody says that he has like prior bad acts, right? Like he has a history. He was the highest penalized player in the league the year prior. He had a whole bunch of penalties already this season, and the season's still pretty young. One of those was for a spear. One was for mouthing off to the refs. But neither one of those are really like intent to murder or really even intent to injure. I'd have to see the spearing play, but a lot of times it's just giving somebody a cup check, which is a dirtbag move. But it's not really an intent to injure somebody. It's really an intent to get under somebody's skin and piss them off. This video is going to be from when Matt Petgrave was in the OHL, and he threw a hit where his leg comes up. And I'm going to pull that up now, and people are saying that this is evidence that when he kind of misses a hit, that his leg comes up in an effort to stop the guy he's trying to hit. But here is that video right here. Kind of slowed down a little bit. Boom. Right. So you can watch this video. If you aren't watching, Petgrave lines up somebody who's cutting through the middle of the ice and tries to throw a hip check on him, misses, and sticks his leg out. So if you are watching, here's the play right before. You can see he times that hit almost perfectly, but just misses, and boom, there that leg comes. Now you can make a few arguments with this. One, he missed the hit and he's pissed, so he throws his leg out, right? And that happens a lot on the ice. And then people are saying this runs parallel to what Petgrave did to Adam Johnson, and I don't see it, and we'll go over that in a little bit. But so that could happen. He could just miss this hit, and I don't know, people like who are sports fans who just never played sports or completely forget what it's like to play them. When you're going to hit somebody and you miss, dude, that momentum, like you can't stop that, right? You missed that hit and you're going to go flying. So he could have gone to make that hit, came up onto his other leg, right? And that leg wraps around because he's either trying to find balance or he could be kicking him. I don't know. But to say that this is evidence that kicking is part of his toolbox, I think is very short-sighted. And we'll watch this one more time. It comes through. And he trips him, right? So he trips him, and that's that. You look at the play, though, his leg comes up about knee height, right? He's not kicking him up in the neck there. I think it's completely different. But, what are you going to do? The next video I'm going to pull up is going to be of the incident. And, bear with me for a minute here because there's a lot of videos, so I can't kind of put them all in the save easily accessible part of this software. All right, so here we are. I'm going to back it up. So the Adam Johnson's team is entering through the neutral zone here. Again, if you're just listening and you're not watching, they're entering through the neutral zone. It's a 2-on-2. It's a classic hockey play. They come in, and what's funny here is if you're not watching, this isn't going to make any sense to you. But this play is incredibly offsides. You can see right, you can't see my mouse, but right through the guys that are closest to you in this video in the zone. So the guy in the white sweater is offsides. The puck has not yet entered the zone. This play is offsides. Now, what I don't know, because I have not seen video with the like with the volume, that's been pretty much scrubbed, which is another weird part of this. I don't know if it was blown dead. So if it was blown dead, there's a very good chance that Petgrave went to stop, right? And I'll make my argument for what else he was trying to do. Goes to stop, right, and catches an edge, and when that happens, your leg goes flying up into the air. But I'll go ahead and we'll replay this video in its entirety here. But just wanted to point that out. It was offsides, and if that play was blown dead, then there's a lot of things that happen where guys go to pull up. That could have also been part of what happened here. So here's the whole play. They're entering into the zone, and Johnson gets kicked in the throat. This is a slowed down version of it where you can actually see the play's offsides. That foot comes up, and tragically, Adam Johnson lost his life here. I don't know how many of you watching, or everybody is like a hockey expert now, but that happens a lot more than you think. Now, one of the arguments I hear is I've never seen a roundhouse kick like that, or legs don't come up into the air. That's not a hockey play. I've got a couple stills for you here that I'm going to pull up. This is a little slideshow. This is a slideshow that actually I found in a Twitter thread from @meowfiala, MEOWFIALA. If you guys want to go follow him, he's a big hockey fan. So I lifted all these from him. But we're going to go over, there's about 30 or 40 stills of photos where guys hit an edge, legs come up in the air, all that. So we're going to watch that now. So here's 6. Let me move myself. All right, there's more. Again, you can see it over and over and over again. This is not all that unordinary for this to happen on the ice. It happens quite frequently. I mean, I would say at least once a game to once every other game, somebody either hits an edge and they come up, they lose their balance, they get hit. It's wild that everybody who has become a hockey expert has apparently never watched a game. So those are just some stills. There was 42, I believe, is how many there were times, and that's not even all of them. That is just the ones that were pretty easy to find. It is not all that uncommon. Now, I know what you're saying or thinking here is, well, normally it's a hit that causes that to happen. Well, no, you can catch an edge or hit a rut in the ice, and the same thing happens. I'm going to pull up a very recent video of a star athlete doing just that.
And Jack Hughes is demanding.
So this is Hughes, very, very good player. Fairly new to the NHL, but the kid is an absolute. He's going to end up being an absolute phenom. He's former first overall pick, and you'll see how easy it is for this to happen. So here it is. He gets the puck in his own zone, and whoop! What happened there? Right, it doesn't always have to be a hit. It can be a change of direction, and that goes to my argument with it. That play was blown dead, and Petgrave went to stop, or, again, there's another thing I think he was trying to do that we'll go over in a minute. But if that's what happened, if that play was blown dead, all right, this happens. Whoop, right, boom. Feet come out from under him, legs go straight up in the air, and we'll watch it one more time for good measure. Here he goes to change, feet come flying up. So it is not all that uncommon for that to happen. It's again, everybody is a hockey expert here, and it's really disheartening to see what this has become. Now, if you think Matt Petgrave is a murderer and this was intentional, I don't think that's the case at all. I'm going to pull up a video here, and I will link in the description to the full video that I did. It's about 12 minutes long. It's not all that hard of a watch. I go over what I think happened, but essentially I think Matt Petgrave was trying to trip the gentleman that was originally in front of him, missed, and either the play was blown dead, which causes a lot of things to happen, or as he missed, that foot continued flying up, and he caught an edge and flew his leg straight into Adam Johnson's throat, which again is a very tragic and horrifying and horrible thing to have happen, but it doesn't equal Petgrave being a murderer. So here's the last video I'm going to pull up here. And so bear in mind the quality of this is very poor because it's zoomed in and slowed down. But let's turn that volume down. All right, so shows these two gentlemen here. I'm going to kind of slow down right here. So you can see Petgrave's left foot. All right, he shifts all of his body weight onto that left side. He's going to do one of two things here. He's either going to hit this original gentleman in front of him on his way to Adam Johnson, or he's going to trip him. And I think he went to trip him because of the way that this plays out. I'll let this slow motion play kind of go in its entirety, and then I will backtrack and go over what I truly believe happened. So they're skating into the zone, plays off sides, and that foot comes up. And again, it is tragic and it is horrific and it is awful, but it doesn't mean that Matt Petgrave is a murderer. So here's my breakdown of what I think happened. You can see he goes and he puts all of his weight onto his left foot right here. And again, if you've watched the other video, this is going to be like deja vu because I go over the same thing. And you can see realistically what he's trying to do is take a line through this player into Johnson, right? And it may have taken a poor line. And again, it goes back to that play in the OHL. He missed a hit. He stuck his leg out. Maybe that's what he was doing. I don't buy it right now. I don't think that while an absolute shitbag that Matt Petgrave is a murderer or even trying to injure Johnson. I don't see it. But again, I don't know what was going through his head at the time. So he leans in, right? You'll actually see his left foot makes contact with that right skater's foot. So that's what leads me to believe he was trying to trip him. And when you go to trip somebody, right, he misses. And what's going to happen with that leg? Again, we talked about it earlier. You cannot stop on a dime when you think that you're putting a lot of pressure into something and that something disappears. So that foot comes straight up off the ground and into Johnson's neck, and it is it's awful to watch. You know what happens. I feel horrible for his family. I can't imagine as a parent having to put my child in the ground. It breaks my heart for his family, his fiance, and everybody else involved. But again, I don't see the intent here. It just really doesn't look intentional. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, it slowed down. It shows intent." I really don't see it. I think slowing down kind of exonerates him from that. But again, in my original video, I said I truly believe that it could be a manslaughter thing because he was trying to commit another illegal act on the ice. But I don't think this kick was intentional, and I'm going to die on that hill right now. I've been called all kinds of fun names on X and in the YouTube comments, but I don't buy it. I don't see it. So now Petgrave has been arrested and charged with manslaughter, which means not a whole lot due to the fact that we already knew they were investigating this. Now that they've arrested him and charged him, you know that they at least have some inkling that, you know, it may have been, it wasn't on purpose, right? Because that'd be a murder charge. But it may have been something, again, like I said, where he was trying to commit another dirty play, and this was the result. And it's awful and it's sad. And I feel horrible for everybody involved. But again, I don't think it makes him a murderer. All right, that's going to wrap this up for today. Just like I said, the update, Matt Petgrave has been arrested and charged with manslaughter. I don't believe it was a murder. I don't believe it was intentional. I know you're going to come at me with, well, every pro hockey player who's been vocal about it says it's a murder. I know plenty who don't think it was. There's two sides to this coin, and you're kind of only seeing one side of it. And I truly believe it's being done in an effort to divide everybody as much as possible, because as long as we're arguing with each other over trivial things, and not to suggest in any way, shape, or form this is a trivial matter because somebody lost their life, and another man's life is kind of hanging in the balance right now. It's less than trivial, but to make it about trivial things like race, things like that, I think it's done on purpose in a lot of respects. Just again, as long as we're fighting with each other and all that, we're not aiming our ire at the people who deserve it, which are the ones who are taxing us into oblivion and, making life infinitely harder for everybody. All the war pigs and the authoritarians and all that. Like those are who we need to be being upset at right now. And I don't believe that taking this instance and trying to make it a race issue is in our best interest or the best interest of what happened. Let's try to find out what really happened. Let's take a minute here, and instead of calling somebody a murderer and God, dude, the names that I got called for saying that let's pump the brakes here. I don't know that he did it on purpose. It's wild. And these are people who I agree with things on 99% of the time, probably closer to 90% of the time, but just will turn on you on a dime if you don't fall in. So that's my take. I don't think Petgrave is a murderer. I think the slowed down footage and the rest of the things that I kind of showed today don't necessarily exonerate him, but they do definitely show he's not a murderer. And I don't know that you're going to be able to prove intent, in addition to the fact that they've charged him with manslaughter. So I think at this point, unless some new evidence comes out, murder's probably off the table, because they know that they can't tell intent unless Petgrave was to come out and say, yes, I tried to kick him in the throat and that was my ultimate goal. I don't think they get a murder charge, even with prior bad acts, which is weird because from what I understand in the UK, and again, I'm a strength coach, I'm not a politician, I'm not a cop, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not any of those things. For everything that I'm seeing, you can use prior bad acts to prove guilt, or to at least assist in proving guilt in a current case. But, for that, show me where he tried to murder somebody. Show me how often he's tried to kick somebody in the throat. Tell me how often he's had an extreme intent to injure somebody, because I don't think it's all there, even though this guy gets an insane amount of penalties and plays the game like a total shitbag. I don't see the murder, and apparently neither does the UK government. So that's going to be all for today. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. I got a lot of opinions, and you're going to hear all about them, so stick around because it only gets worse going forward.